Toyota Motor Corporation and its response to the rise in gas prices in the late 20th century and early 21st century by Meg Mundy, Tom Ellingsworth, Chris Clifton, Luke Winter, Rob Eberly, and Elliot Hurt. In the late 1800s, the Toyota Company originally made looms to manufacture cloth for the Japanese clothing industry. In 1890, they created the Model G automatic loom, which was Japan's first power loom. Sakichi Toyoda, the founder of Toyota, became interested in engines after its creation. In the early 1900s, he traveled to the United States to learn more about their engines and the automobile. In 1936, Toyota produced its first vehicle, simply named the AA. Kiichiro Toyoda, the son of Sakichi, created the Toyota Motor Corporation the following year. Toyota did not export a car to the U.S. until 1957. The Toyota Crown was the flagship of their American entry. Sales were initially slow, and high tariffs in the early 60s made profits slim. As popularity grew in the early 1970s, Toyotas were compared to vehicles like the Volkswagen Beetle for building small cars with affordable pricing. Going forward, Toyota knew it had to further differentiate themselves if they wanted to be successful. Toyota felt the gas crisis of the 1970s was no fluke and immediately began research into theories like Dr. Marion King Hubert's peak oil theory. Also known as the Hubert curve, the peak oil theory predicted the gas crisis of this time. The curve was created in 1956 and shows America's peak oil production in the early 1970s, followed by a terminal decline. Toyota believed this trend will occur with the world supply of crude oil also. Energy crises like these directly affect many business strategies, especially those of the automotive industry. Toyota knew fuel efficiency would be the next trend in automobiles. After the Hubert curve, a net Hubert curve was created by calculating the percent of net energy available from the gross energy produced. This curve, unlike the original, was skewed to the left, meaning by the time peak production was reached, 73% of resources had already been used. This curve found peak world oil production will occur in 2008 and decline thereafter. It is commonly thought by economists that the decline of production will be steeper than the net curve predicted. Whether or not the Hubert curve is accurate is often a topic of debate. The accelerated rate of the decline in the oil production that economists suggest may mean we will not have time to prepare for it before we actually run out of the resource. So far, the curve has been precise and very close to actual data when compared, but some argue that the methods used to calculate the curve were far too simplistic to be accurate. Throughout the 1980s and 90s, Toyota became dedicated to improving their vehicles' reliability and efficiency. The 1990s brought on the SUV revolution. SUVs are oversized station wagons on truck frames with four-wheel drive capabilities. Most were equipped with oversized V6 engines or gas-guzzling V8s. Buyers were attracted to the high ride height, perceived safety, roominess, and towing capabilities of these vehicles. Manufacturers of SUVs enjoyed large profit margins due to heavy optioning of these vehicles. Smaller cars, like Toyotas, did not see as much of a profit margin, but that did not bother Toyota as they kept on their pursuit of making a more efficient vehicle. President Bill Clinton also shared the belief that gas and oil would not last forever. In 1993, he created the Partnership for a New Generation of Vehicles, or PNGV. This was a joint research program between the U.S. government and major American automakers. The goal was to make a vehicle with a fuel efficiency rating of 80 miles per gallon by 2003. The partnership involved 8 federal agencies, many national laboratories and universities, and the United States Council for Automotive Research, along with motor companies like Daimler Chrysler, Ford, and General Motors. Since Toyota was a Japanese company, they were not invited to join. Little did they know Toyota had already created its own project called the Global Car for the 21st Century, or G21. Since the mid-1990s, gas prices have been on the rise. In 2004, gas prices jumped from $1.50 a gallon to $2.50 a gallon. Today, the national average gas price is $3.98 a gallon and rising. With this trend, Toyota continued research into innovating a more fuel-efficient vehicle and has used environmental monitoring to help. Environmental monitoring is the use of observing trends in the environment and the events and activities that occur during a certain period in time. When monitoring, the environmental forecasting can be used to predict the next trend in the environment. Toyota also noticed that the world was changing. Governments and its citizens were becoming more aware of how we treated the environment. Through this awareness, an unrealized strategy came about to make a more fuel efficient car that is environmentally responsible at the same time. Through the G21 program, Toyota innovated its first hybrid system in 1995. Toyota's first hybrid system was composed of four major parts: the 1.5-liter INZ FXE four-cylinder engine, two separate electric motors, the electric inverter or power control unit, and the HV batteries. The gas engine serves two purposes. The first is to power the car, and the second is to run the first electric motor that acts as a generator. The first electric motor sends electricity to the inverter and either stores it in the batteries or sends it to the second electric motor to help power the car. There are three major functions that a hybrid uses to conserve gas. The first is through regenerative braking. This is the process of reusing energy normally lost through braking or coasting. As the wheels turn while coasting or braking, it spins the electric generator and more power is stored in the batteries. The second function is assisting the gas engine. The electric motor will give boosted power at times of acceleration or climbing. The last function is at times of idling. When the car is stopped, the engine will turn off and not turn back on until the accelerator is used. Toyota first introduced its hybrid system in the Prius in Japan in 1997. The word Prius means before in Latin. This was to show other automakers they knew about the gas problems that lied ahead. The compact, fuel-efficient, and environmentally friendly car was a success. With oil prices increasing, it was time for the Prius to undergo expansion. In 2000, the Prius was introduced in the United States. It took some time for the Toyota Prius to gain popularity. Due to the rise in gas prices in 2004, people began to gain interest. Sales of the Prius more than doubled in this year and rose greatly in the following years. The introduction of the Prius to the US market would change the game for American automakers. Toyota set the trend that the American automakers would follow. It took a while for other automakers to catch on. The Prius's current market share is nearly 55% and has sold over 2 million cars worldwide. Recently, car manufacturers like Ford, Honda, Chevy, Hyundai, and Kia entered the hybrid market. Their market penetration has not been felt greatly yet, but market share for each are growing. Toyota had the intangible resources and organizational capabilities that put them ahead of a majority of automakers. Their great strides in hybrid systems technology came along before many other automakers. The Japanese was spending a lot more time researching and developing more fuel-efficient automobiles, while most of their competition could not imitate the path dependency Toyota had created for itself. Recently, Toyota changed their global vision to the following statement: Toyota will lead the way to the future of mobility, enriching lives around the world with the safest and most responsible ways of moving people. Through our commitment to quality, constant innovation, and respect for the planet, we aim to exceed expectations and be rewarded with a smile. We will meet our challenging goals by engaging the talent and passion of people who believe there is always a better way. This statement proves Toyota's dedication to furthering the idea of a green vehicle while still providing a quality product for their customers. Toyota will continue expanding its hybrid lineup over the following years. In the next few years, 3 new versions of the Prius will be produced. The Prius V is a larger Prius with over 50% more cargo room. The Prius C is a more compact version of the original Prius, and the Prius plug-in, which is built off the original Prius model, will feature all electric modes. The plug-in will be able to reach a speed of 62 miles per hour through its electric motor only and can run for 15 miles on this electric motor. In 2015, the Prius will be completely redesigned. The popular minivan Toyota Sienna is scheduled to join the